Kids. We all got 'em. Either already frolicking through parks and playgrounds, or still swimming around in our ball sacks waiting to be hatched. They're life's little miracles. There is no joy quite like seeing a child take their first steps, ride their first bike, murder their first victim. The movie I'm talking about today, Bloody Birthday, chronicles this momentous occasion as three children begin committing murders on their 10th birthdays. If you're looking for a spoiler-free review, in short, Bloody Birthday is not the most action-packed movie. It does lack the creative, over-the-top kills and unbelievable insanity of some other cheesy, so bad they're good 80s slashers. But as a whole, Bloody Birthday is still quite a bit of fun. Watching these children commit heinous crimes is a unique and entertaining enough experience that I'd still recommend Bloody Birthday for a guilty pleasure viewing. If you don't care about spoilers for a bad movie that came out 4 decades ago, if you just want a summary of the funniest moments this killer kid escapade has to offer, well then child lock your doors and let's begin. Bloody Birthday opens in a hospital during an eclipse. What is the significance of this eclipse? Well, that is this movie's entire explanation and justification for the prepubescent murders. No troubled homes or demonic possessions, these children just happened to be born the same day when the sun was covered by the moon, and as a result, they became unempathetic, unrelenting murder machines. That sounded pretty far-fetched to me, but I will admit I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to astrology and zodiac signs, so maybe serial killer Scorpios is just par for the course. After the hospital opening, the movie jumps ahead in time, and we get a really hilarious first kill. A young couple is making out in a cemetery. Though it turns out, the graveyard setting just isn't morbid enough for the young lovebirds. The two decide they want a little more privacy, so they move their dry hump session away from the tombstones and into an open grave. Well down there, dirt begins to fall on their heads. When the guy looks up to find the source, he is met repeatedly in the head with a shovel. As for the girl, she is strangled with a jump rope, with one of the handles accidentally being left behind by the mystery assailants. The next day at an elementary school, a police officer interrogates the students about the previous night's murder. I'm all for exhausting every possible lead in an investigation, but you'd think an officer would need better evidence in order to grill some 5th graders about a homicide. Maybe if someone was bludgeoned with an easy-bake oven, this would be justified, but this seems extreme. After the policeman leaves, we officially meet our trio of adolescent assassins, Curtis, Debbie, and Steven, who politely ask their teacher if there can be no homework on the day of their shared birthday. While the kids do a lot of heinous things throughout this movie, I will admit this request in isolation is pretty reasonable and pretty wholesome. The teacher's reply, however, is a little less wholesome.
Just because you all have the same birthday doesn't mean that you're special.
Pretty harsh response from an elementary teacher of all people. It's no surprise she winds up shot to death later in the movie. But before that, the terrifying trio return to Debbie's home, where Debbie has a side hustle, charging classmates loose change to watch her sister undress and dance naked through a closet peephole. After their voyeurism, the kids' next crime is killing the cop who interrogated their class earlier. Their initial plan is to try to get the officer to trip on a mini skateboard, which you have to admit would have been a pretty wacky death. Unfortunately for the kids and for the audience, the cop simply steps over the skateboard. Improvising, Steven grabs a bat, whacks the cop to death with it, and positions his body on the stairs to make it look like an accident. While doing this, the small-statured slaughterers are spotted by their neighbor/classmate Timmy, who becomes the next target on their hit list. Well, kind of. You see, the 3 kid killers, who take out much less important targets in brutal, efficient, and effective ways, decide to simply lock Timmy in the fridge in the junkyard, leave, and, well, hope for the best. Shockingly, this plan does not kill Timmy, though it does cause him to be late for dinner. Later in the same junkyard, the kids also try to commit vehicular manslaughter on Timmy's sister. If you're wondering how these little guys can drive, one kid handles steering/ghost cosplay, while the other works the pedals with their little hands. The kids chase the sister around for a while in a pretty entertaining scene before she eventually jumps out of the way and the car spectacularly flies off a cliff and crashes. Throughout the rest of the movie, the kids try to kill a handful of other people, sometimes successful, sometimes not. They attend a number of funerals wearing tiny suits. They eat some cake at their joint birthday party with a creepy clown. At one point, Timmy's surviving sister tells Debbie's older sister about the closet peephole business. Debbie's sister gets revenge on Debbie by locating Debbie's cute little scrapbook filled with murder victims and tattles to their mom about it. Debbie gets her own revenge for this betrayal by, well, shooting her sister in the eye with a bow and arrow. Shortly after this, we have an awesome climax where Timmy and his sister face off against the kids. Once the dust settles from the fight, Debbie lies to her mom, blaming the murders on the others. The mom actually somehow believes her and leaves town with her daughter before the cops arrive. Once the police do show up, Stephen and Curtis are framed for the murders and are taken to kid jail. Timmy and his family live happily ever after. As for Debbie, we see her and her mom now in a new town. While some may be hopeful Debbie's death-dealing days are long behind her, I'll just say I'm somewhat skeptical. And that is Bloody Birthday. Like I said in my short spoiler-free review, it's not my favorite dumb 80s slasher. I did a similar summary video on Blood Rage, and even after spoiling everything there, I still recommended people check that movie out to see the stuff that I missed. As for Bloody Birthday, if you've stuck around to this point, you've pretty much heard all the best parts, and I wouldn't say it's worth watching the full thing. I skipped over a lot of the boring scenes. If you do want to see a killer kids movie, just watch The Brood instead. If you stumbled upon this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post new horror rants, commentaries, and deep dives on Fridays. On Saturdays, I post horror shorts. As well, on Mondays, I post quick 1-minute recommendations for horror movies available to watch on Shudder, Netflix, and Amazon Prime. Thank you for all the recent support. Subscriptions, likes, and comments really do help this channel and my ego to grow.